Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode in the series Dawah Ilallah, as we look into the comparative sciences, how you can be more effective in calling those that you meet in your day-to-day life to Islam. In the series, we've been looking at different ways in which you can use and utilize the tools of comparative sciences to be more effective in inviting people to submit to the one true God. Today we are going to look at peace. And peace is something that everybody in the world is looking for. When people ignore God's truth, when people ignore Allah's truth, they soon will drift back into the fickle beliefs that they had before mankind came out of paganism. So we'll find that when you stop believing in the one true God, when you stop obeying the one true God, it is very, very easy for people to slip back into their old pagan beliefs. And this is true even if you are a born Muslim, even if you come from a Muslim community, even if you're a revert to Islam. If you start to forget the teachings of Allah, it is very easy for you to slip back into the practices of paganism and think that you are in fact following Islam. We need in our lives to have a peace plan. And if we have a peace plan in our life, then we will find that we will be able to be the successful. One of the interesting points that is often being raised by scholars is that if you do not surrender yourself to Allah, you cannot follow Islam correctly. And this is so true, because many times people think that they can submit to Islam without having a proper concept of who Allah is, without surrendering themselves totally to the will of Allah. This is not possible. You are just practicing outward actions if you do not know who and why you are doing them. Today we are going to look at peace. And peace is an acronym. It stands for P-E-A-C-E. P stands for Planting Islamic Teachings. Then we need to equip local leaders. Then we need to assist the poor, care for the sick, and educate the youth. So these are what we're going to be looking at. Planting Islamic centers, planting Islamic teachers, planting Islamic organizations, dawah organizations. So the first is P. When we have a look at planting Islamic centers, Islamic teachers, and dawah centers, this is the most important job in the Muslim community. When we are doing dawah, or when we are growing a Muslim community, it is important to have centers. It is important to have dawah opportunities for those people who are Muslims to go and partake in the activities of calling people to Islam. So if somebody has reverted, the best thing for them to do is to go to a center, go to an Islamic institution and volunteer time and do the same thing that happened to them, call others to Islam. So one of the first things that we need to understand in the acronym of peace is planting of institutions, planting of centers, planting of Islamic colleges. These things must be created. What happens when you plant something? It grows. You have to water it, you have to nurture it, you have to give it the correct soil, and then out of that will grow something that is of benefit to the rest of the Muslim community. So this is very, very important for us to understand in starting a peace garden, helping us to grow the right type of Muslims in the community. The second part of the word peace is the acronym is E, and that is to equip local leaders. One of the saddest things that we find is that when these centers are created, when mosques are built, that we don't have leaders with the right equipment, right knowledge, right information. And equipment does not only mean the books, the Quran, sources like this, but we're also talking about equipping the local leaders with the information that they require to move forward, technology. It's many of the imams, many of the leaders in the local communities don't have technology. They don't have the resources that they are required to be able to do their job effectively. In some of the countries that I've been to, you'll find that in the mosque there will be a big screen TV where they will have a PowerPoint presentation even on a Friday. Many countries in the world would say that is totally unacceptable. But we need to use a certain amount of technology. We need to equip our leaders with at least having access to other scholars' works. And the best way to do that these days is via the internet, where they can ask questions. They can send and post questions online to some of these scholars and ask them questions on how to deal with issues. So the first is to plant Islamic centers. The second is to equip local leaders. The third in finding true peace is to assist the poor. To assist the poor wherever they are. Sometimes when we want to assist the poor or those who are less fortunate than ourselves, we want to do this once a year or once in a lifetime activity. This needs to be something that is sustainable and continues the whole way through the year, the whole way through our lives. Assisting the poor helps us understand that it is by the grace of Allah that we are not in that situation. Some countries in the world believe that the poor deserve to be where they are. And the idea is this is some type of karma that they are paying for in their previous life. In the Muslim community, this is unacceptable. We are responsible for looking after those who are less fortunate than ourselves. Sometimes when the poor come and ask for help, or the less fortunate come for help, we have this attitude of, well, if we help them, they'll just keep begging. If you're in that situation, if you were that person, how would you feel if somebody said that to you? What if you're really the genuine person? How would you know which one is genuine and who isn't? When the poor come, you need to help them. You need to have compassion. You need to break yourself and understand that it is only by Allah's mercy that you're not in that situation. So assisting the poor is something that is part of our deen, part of Islam. And to have a peace plan in our life, this has to be part of that peace plan. If we want to have part of that, if we want to be successful. So the first point in the peace plan, the P stands for planting. The second, the E stands for equipping the local leaders and ourselves. And the third letter, A, stands for assistance of the poor, of the needy, of the sick, of those in our community. Which brings us to the next area, and that is care. We need to care for those who are ill. It has become a concept in our Muslim community these days that we can put people in old age homes, retirement villages. This was unheard of in Islam. This was never acceptable, that an elderly person would just be abandoned and put into retirement villages. We need to care for our elderly. We need to care for those who are disabled. We need to care for the children that have been abandoned, that are sitting in children's homes and children's societies, at the welfare society. Maybe you can't adopt them. I can't adopt a child. But you can at least care for them. You can volunteer once a week, once a month, to go and maybe teach mathematics, English, Urdu, Arabic, French. Teach them geography, science, history, whatever it is, to help them after school so those children are in those institutions. When they leave that institution, they are able to be successful. By doing this, you'll create a peaceful society. If every Muslim volunteered to help in a retirement village once a month or once a week, or go to visit the children in an orphanage and give an hour a month or an hour a week, if not more, then those children would have a better future. Many of these children don't have one-on-one tutors. They can't afford private tutors. You have an opportunity to do something. So if we have a peace plan, we can see a better society. So the fourth part of the word peace is caring for those less fortunate, like the sick, those people in retirement villages, and the children. And the last letter is E. The fifth letter is E. And that is the E in peace. And that is to educate those people that we meet specifically, and I'm talking mostly about the youth. If we educate the youth, we will have a successful peace plan for the future. If we get it right with the youth, we can sit back and relax for the next 30 to 40 years. If we get it wrong with the youth, we're going to have to be very stressed, and we're going to have to be sitting thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to motivate the young adults in our community? How are we going to motivate the 30-year-olds and the 40-year-olds to get back into the mosque? If we get it right with the 14, 15, and 16-year-olds now, we can sit back and relax for the next 30, 40 years. Because we know that Islam will be safe, inshallah. But if we get it wrong in this generation with the youth, we are going to be in serious trouble in the future. Because the youth truly are the future. It's not a lyric for Michael Jackson. It's not a fundraising one-liner. It's the honest truth. The children are our future. If we get it wrong, there goes our future. We have to make sure that we put all our energy, time, funds, and resources into educating them properly on Islamic knowledge, on sound Islamic knowledge, very, very sound Islamic knowledge, as well as secular knowledge. Our children, our youth, need to be taught that they need to have a secular job and an Islamic education and Islamic job at the same time. They can go together. They don't have to do one or the other. They can do both. Let's take a break, and when we get back from the break, we'll continue, inshallah.
Say He is Allah, one and only. Allah, the absolute and eternal. He begets not, nor is He begotten. There is nothing like Him.
Focus on the source of wisdom.
The Quran is a magnet, and the Sunnah is a revelation.
Islam had the solution right from the beginning. We apply that, and the problem is solved.
Focus on the solution for our world.
There is no man on the face of earth. His life was narrated to us like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Poor, rich, white, black, Arab, non-Arab, everybody say the same word. Obey Allah, obey the messenger.
Focus on the Akhirah.
Tawbah is mandatory upon each and every Muslim.
Success for the Muslim is having the correct belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Allah has power over all things. Has power over all things.
Focus on the facts and realities that motivate the world towards Islam in Islam in Focus. Next on Peace TV.
We are not addicted to dawah. Addiction implies a short-term fix. One doesn't need to get into the zone to talk about Islam. You do dawah because it is a natural result of your commitment to Allah. If you don't talk, people are going to walk. The most effective combination in the propagation of true Islam is found in Dawah Ilallah. Join me, Areeb Islam, as we go through Dawah Ilallah only on Peace TV.
Follow the tips to make the task of Dawah result-oriented in Dawah Ilallah. Next on Peace TV. He faces.
My question is, I have two questions.
He listens.
My question is about the beard, about Imam Mahdi.
What other people believe in.
He answers.
So number one is the help of Allah.
He satisfies in the light of glorious Quran and authentic Hadith.
If Allah helps you, believe me, you have to get success.
Catch Dr. Zakir.
Then we have the next call, please.
To get convincing and valid answers in Dial Dr. Zakir every Thursday at 7 p.m. UK and 8 p.m. Europe on Peace TV.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we are talking about how to have a peace plan. how to have a plan to be peaceful in the future in our own lives, how to have a peaceful family, how to have a peaceful community, how to have a peaceful Muslim society. And we've said that peace is an acronym that we use. Each letter stands for something, so it's easy for us to remember. First one is that we need to plant Islamic institutions, dawah centers, schools, community halls with Islamic thesis, with Islamic ethos. Second is that we need to equip our local leaders and ourselves with all the relevant tools and information to be successful in what we are doing as Muslims. You must use technology, just like Peace TV is using the best technology for doing what they're doing right here, right now. We need to assist those people who are less fortunate than ourselves. This is how we're going to find true peace. When we help others, we realize how much we have, how much we should be grateful for. The fourth is that we should care for those people who are in greater need than us, those who are sick, those who are being put into retirement villages, those people who maybe don't have a mother or father, or maybe you can't adopt them. At least you can help tutor them, teach them extra lessons, be a big brother, be a big sister to them, take them out for the weekend. Don't just do this once, do this for the rest of your life on a continuous basis. All these things need to be continuously done, not once off. So if you're going to plant an Islamic center, you need to keep planting them and keep making sure that they are watered and looked after and growing properly, just like you would with a plant. You don't just buy a plant and leave it. You don't put a pot plant in your window and go, well, there we go, I did it. You have to water it, you have to change the soil, you have to do work that is involved. When you're equipping the local leaders, it's not a once-off thing. You have to keep them updated. Give them the latest information, latest technology. When you're assisting the poor, there are many ways that you can assist the poor in the future that you maybe couldn't have done before. Maybe with resources, maybe with time, maybe with technology that comes your way that you help them. And then obviously when you're caring for the sick, when you're looking after those orphans, when you're looking after the widow, when you're looking after the person at the retirement village, it's a continuous thing, not a once-off thing. It's nothing worse than somebody coming there, the whole group of people. Now I've seen many Muslim organizations do this. They come there, the whole group of people, cameras, action, the whole toot, for taking photographs. Look what we did, we painted the school. And then they go. You never see them again at that school, ever again. It was all just a fundraising scheme. Go there when no one's there with cameras. Go help on a continuous basis. If it means you have to weed the garden of weeds, then do that. But keep going to that school. Keep helping in that institution. Let them know that they can count on you. They need your money, but they need your time more. The last point that we're dealing with in the word or the acronym peace is, like I said, educating the youth. If we get it right with the youth on a continuous basis, then we'll be successful. Then we will find true peace in our plan for the future. Because if we don't put our effort and time on the youth, somebody else is going to put effort and time on the youth, like they're doing at the moment. Bollywood is spending a lot of time on them. Hollywood is spending a lot of time on them. The age group that a sales merchant or an advertising person is dealing with, they're not interested in the 30-year-olds, they're not even interested in the 20-year-olds. The entire target market is between 13 and 16. Everything that they're selling, whether it be diamond earrings, or whether it be PlayStation, whether it be a BMW, that's the target market because they're the future consumers. So it's not the mature 30-year-old that they're trying to do it for. It's not the 40-year-old man or woman that they are targeting, young age group, because they know they're the future consumers, future buyers. And they will go to their mom and their dad and their parents and push this sales merchandise or whatever it is onto them to buy. So if we educate and get it right with our kids, with the youth, with our young adults, then we have a smooth sailing for the next 20, 30 years, maybe even 40 years. If we get it wrong, we've got tough times ahead. So we need to have a peace plan in our life. And if we don't have a peace plan, then we're just doing things for the sake of doing them. We're just doing dawah events for the sake of doing dawah events. We're doing public lectures for the sake of doing public lectures. We're recording for the sake of recording. We're airing programs on Peace TV for the sake of airing programs on Peace TV. If we don't have a peace plan. If we have a peace plan, smooth sailing. That's why I said every Muslim should have a 5, 10, 15-year plan for their dawah organization, for themselves, for any organization. You have to have structure. Obviously, things can change. Remember, we said that even the best plans can change halfway. But at least they have a plan. Don't just go there and hope everything's going to work out. We're now going to open the floor for a bit of question and answers from the floor. Some of the questions that we've dealt with over the last few weeks. I know some of you have shown interest in wanting to ask a question or two. If you have anything you'd like to ask about what we have discussed over the last few weeks regarding dawah, how to be successful in dawah, and also comparative study, this is the time that you can ask. You've got a few minutes left towards the end of this program, so if you have a question, you're welcome to ask it now.
Sheikh, my question is how to give dawah in friend circle. Like we have friends from different sects, like from Hindus, Christians, atheists, and some friends like they just want entertainment, nothing else. And the last thing they would like to talk about is religion, because it creates some barriers in a friendship. So how to give dawah to close friends?
The most important thing is not to ever mention the religion of Islam, because most people are sick of religion. Even those people who are religious are sick of religion. So we want to talk about Islam as a belief system, as a healthy alternative to anything else that's out there. So we don't want to say it's a way of life, things like that, because this is what the Hindus also use. The Krishna consciousness movement, they call it a way of life. I know it's quite common that we say Islam is a way of life, but we want to use terms that, you know, there's sort of power words that travel around at the time. Like at this time, it's like holistic healing, holistic lifestyle, holistic way of thinking. That's the new word. So use the local catchphrase. Say that Islam is a holistic belief system. It deals with the entire system of life. So whatever the catchword is, grab that and throw it in there. So explain how holistically Islam makes sense. So if they don't want to talk about that specific part of religion, then talk about something else. Talk about the equality or the value systems of Islam. Talk about sport. If they're talking about women, if they're talking about whatever it is, you will be able to bring the holistic side of Islam into it. Guaranteed. I told you, any topic. If I'm standing in a line at a shopping center, I can find something to talk about to the person in front of me. Every single time. There's never an opportunity you can't use for dawah. If they're in the middle of a football match and they're all screaming and shouting and jumping up and down, I'll find something to talk about. There'll be something they're doing that I can go, did you know the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said this? You'll always find something. There's always an opportunity. You can make it relevant. You don't have to say, as they're all jumping up and doing this, say, let me tell you about Tawheed. No, you don't have to. You can talk to them about that. You can say, you know, how important to look after your body is. Just like we're doing now. Very, very important. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was very big in sports and keeping active. And you can talk about, so you will find something to bring it in to make it relevant. That is very, very important. We're almost running out of time, so one question at the back.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, my question is, if someone reverted to Islam, but after some time, he again gone back to his older religion, and I know him personally, so what should be my responsibility toward him? Or I should do something for him, or I shouldn't?
Unfortunately, this is a reality of our time. This is not the fault of the da'i. Well, it is the fault of the da'i, but it's not the fault of the person who called that person to Islam. They became Muslims. The fault was that you never did follow-up. And so we have to blame ourselves. We have to say it's very, very easy to get people to say, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Very, very easy to get people to revert to Islam. The tough part comes in looking after them and teaching them and training them and not scaring them. Remember, when they reverted to Islam, you don't have to give them every fatwa that was ever written about Islam. There's no reason to give them all that. Take it slowly. Very, 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 very slowly. There's no one that says they have to be at that level after 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. Your requirement in the beginning is to introduce them to Tawheed. That's all. They don't have to do all the other stuff until they've got that right first. And so we take them from stage to stage, level to level. Don't start bringing in all the fatwas that you can't even keep yourself. So that is the most important. So follow-up is the most important. Do you give up on that person who left Islam? Definitely not. What you do is you improve the situation that caused them to leave in the first place. There should only be 1 or 2 teachers teaching a revert. You shouldn't have 10, 20, 30 people teaching him, because this one says that one says that one says that, and that just creates confusion. So the most important is only one person teaching. When you go to school and you have a math teacher, that whole year you only have the same math teacher, unless you got a very bad school and the teacher keeps leaving. But generally the same math teacher will teach you, same English teacher will teach you the whole year. You don't jump and change all the time. So keep the same teacher teaching. Don't send them to one of these very, very strict guys in the beginning. There's a chance for them to ease into Islam. So don't rush it. Take time as you're going. That's the most important. Well, that's all the time we have for this week. So make sure you join us again. So from me, Areeb Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.